Well, hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me. I'm Jill Bloom, Group Publisher of Roofing Contractor, and welcome to a special episode of the Best of Success podcast show. And always honored to be joined by Trent Cotney, partner with Adams and Reese. Trent, thank you so much for joining me.
Jill, thanks for having me again.
Well, there's always, as the year goes by, there's always new things to talk about, but it seems like it's similar each year. But first and foremost, let's dive into some OSHA things. You were just talking about the general duty clause, and clearly it sounds like there's some important things that all contractors need to know about.
Yeah,
what
absolutely.
do we need to know?
We've in our previous podcast, we've talked a lot about the fact that OSHA has become a little bit more aggressive under this administration. We're seeing more rulemaking, we're seeing more enforcement. And one of the things that we've started to see here recently is an uptick in general duty citations. Now, for our listeners that don't know what that is, there's a clause within OSHA that says, hey, you can be cited, you, the employer, have a general duty to keep your employees free from recognized hazards, right? And they are using sort of this catch-all wide net to cite contractors for everything under the sun. There's a lot of risk there, Jill, that we're concerned about, in that you could potentially be on the hook for a repeat because it's so broad, regardless of what you do. So when we see that general duty clause, and I want, our listeners to also understand that if you see that, you want to try to attack it and see if you can't either get it thrown out or recharacterized into something that's more specific. That's one of our biggest defenses is, hey, either this isn't a recognized hazard, or can we recharacterize this into a more specific citation to potentially reduce the chance that it's going to be a repeat in the future. But definitely, for some reason, Joe, we have seen a big uptick in citing this. It's always been out there. We see it occasionally, but lately it seems almost every citation we're getting in has that in there. So watch out for it.
Wow, so interesting. So you think that they're just looking for an opportunity to have a repeat offense?
I think some of it has to do with that. I think some of it is trying to cast that broad net so that they have more leeway in future citations. It's doesn't require necessarily as strict a proof as some of the other more specific citations. So I think they kind of throw that one out there. But look, there's a lot of defenses to enforcement of that, right? And one of the things that we always fall back on is, if there is a specific standard, regardless of whether it's fall protection or PPE or whatever it might be, then you have to look to that before you can cite to general duty.
Yeah. All right. Well, everyone watch out for the general duty clause for sure. Well, Trent, we're already just embarked on the front end of hurricane season, and there's always, every year, you never know exactly when those storms are going to hit. But what should contractors be doing to prepare, because it's going to be, another long season up ahead of us?
Yeah. So, I've had a lot of conversations with, roofing contractors, other contractors, walls and ceilings, vertical type trades. And one of the things that I think I'm hearing, regardless of whether it's here in Florida, Texas, Louisiana, wherever, the likelihood that we're going to get hit with a major hurricane again is pretty high. Right. So I think one of the things that any contractor needs to do, regardless of trade, is make sure that you've got, emergency repair contracts ready. You've got your, if it's roofing, you've got your, tarping or temporary roof together, water mitigation type contracts, have all that at your fingertips and ready to go. Make sure that you're working on, standard operating procedures for dealing with, what happens if the power goes out in your home office? What happens if you can't get to your distributor? What happens if you can't store materials where you normally store them? You need to have a good network of, other contractors that you're friendly with that you could potentially, help, offload materials or equipment or whatever it is so that you can mobilize elsewhere. The key thing I want our listeners to do is just start preparing, right? We're going to be in official hurricane season here in a couple of days. But, come July, August, September, that's when you really got to make sure that you got everything together.
No, absolutely. Well, great advice, Trent. Everyone needs to prepare. It's always better to have something in place and not need to use it.
Right. Absolutely.
Than get caught off guard. Well, it's always great to talk to you, Trent. We are always grateful for all your insights and nuggets of information. If anybody has any questions, how do they reach out to you?
Sure. They can reach out to me anytime, and you can email me at trent.cotney@arlaw.com.
Sounds great. And if anybody has any questions for us, it's roofingcontractor.com, wconline.com. And while you're there, make sure you sign up for all our free content, especially our e-news, our website, our e-magazine. So you can always stay up to date in all the great interviews we're doing, especially the ones we do consistently with Trent. But most importantly, stay safe and healthy. And we can't wait to talk to you soon. Thanks again, Trent.
Thank you.